Hello, it's Peter Wright and Kathleen Beauvais with another episode of the Yakking Show, the Harmony, Your Path to Wholeness channel. And we help you along that path by bringing you expert guests in the health, fitness, alternate health categories. Today will certainly be no exception. Very interesting guests coming up today. But first, let's welcome co-host Kathleen Beauvais. Hi, Kathleen. How are you today?
Oh, I'm doing great, Peter. Thank you so much. And thank you also very much for tuning into our show. We so appreciate having you. And as Peter mentioned, we do have another special guest with us today. We're very privileged to welcome Andy Kozlowski to the show. Hello, Andy. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you kindly for having me, Caitlin and Peter. It's an amazing opportunity to be here today with you and speak on so many topics that I believe could open the eyes of those that are listening, that
Fantastic.
nothing is set in stone and everyone can change and transcend their limitations.
Well, great. Well, we're just going to give everybody a little bit of a bio on a background on you. And Andy is a spiritual sage and a student of diverse psychological, neuro-linguistic, hypnosis, and Silva techniques. He has studied under mentors like Vipassana teachers, Buddhist monks, Catholic exorcists, shamans, Shaolin monks, and Tao masters. Today, he's here to yak with us about unlocking the mysteries of the subconscious to regain control of your life and manifesting your dreams. So that's a tall order, Andy, in my book. How can someone unlock the mysteries of their subconscious mind?
There are countless ways that you could do that, as there are countless ways you could reach a destination, and the means are obviously different, and the journey would be different if you choose a different vehicle. So the transformation in this case, what matters, because some people are obsessed with having results right here, right now. And what happens with that, that all sudden change to the body would leave an imprint that would not be beneficial in the long run, because this world is based on duality. And that means that if you choose the short road, it might become the long road. If you choose a shortcut, you might become lost in the process. So if we would compare a few styles that you can change your subconsciousness with hypnosis, NLP, Silva methods, or esoteric Tao meditation, all of them have different benefits, and there are two sides of the coin. If we investigate it from Western spirituality and use means like hypnosis, what we need to understand that changing the beliefs or our habits from our subconsciousness won't be enough, because those patterns, those thoughts usually are followed by experiences,
Mhm.
and experiences are followed by emotions. So if you only change the thought and you don't change the emotion, there would be internal conflict, and that internal conflict could cause some serious consequences, because you have two forces of opposite vectors
Uh,
that are battling within your body. And if you program yourself to be very brave, yet your emotions say otherwise, what's going to happen is very similar to the process if you would put boiling water in a glass and then put it to a fridge. That glass will break. And in this metaphor, the glass is your body. You will reduce your lifespan. So changing the mind is many times not sufficient for long-term changes, because
So, Andy, I'm sorry to interrupt, but it just begs the question. I just thought of this. So, from what you're saying, and we've heard of the laws of attraction, that if you if you focus your thoughts on something that you really, really want, you're speaking to the universe, you're you're asking for whatever you want, but inwardly you may be feeling unworthy of getting those things. That's a duality, correct? Is that a fair analogy
That's
of what?
correct.
And in
Yes,
that
and
case, it would negate and okay. All right. Well, okay, I have so many questions now. I mean, how do you go about changing the emotion? Because the emotion, I would think, is more powerful than the thought itself, correct?
it depends. If you have a negative thought, but your emotional state is in gratitude or love or joy, that negative thought would bounce back because it cannot exist in that state. If you, on the other side, if you are in very deep states of the mind, because the mind is similar to computer that runs on frequency, it is used to make decisions, but unlike any other computer, it runs on different frequencies. And the slower it is, the deeper the state of the mind. And in those states, negative emotions will also bounce back. So it is about balance. If you have those tools in your disposal, you will achieve much more. But if you allow those tools to use you, then it's not gonna get you to the places where you want to go, because that's most likely gonna be something from your subconsciousness or the habits or something that has been passed through you through generations or even programmed by society. So it all starts with being aware who you are, what you need to discard to get to the place where you want to go. And if you want to create changes from the place of universe, the thing about that, it's very dangerous. First of all, you would need to make sure that you have the same mind as the universe, same emotions as the universe, so you can channel that energy. And then you would have to get those channels open in the first place. And that is very rare to have someone to have those channels open, because you basically need to be born on a sage level to the point that a soul has experienced reality through lenses of survival, emotions, thoughts. And once it's ready to see reality for what it truly is. So this window appears between your eyebrows from which the soul takes peaks. And you actually need to discard that as well if you want to channel the cosmos. You need to be above that. So this is very dangerous to use those laws, because if you don't have those channels ready, it's like using a fuel rocket for your car. It might be more efficient, but your car is not used to that fuel. So it will damage your internal organs and decrease your lifespan and create this illusion that you're advanced because you have tried so many things, nothing has worked. And you finally found this thing that is working, but it's working using your own energy as a source.
Hmm.
Okay. Okay.
Lots of interesting tidbits
That's
there.
right. But you on your website, you mentioned that if you have the same thoughts each day, that would guide you to the same neural connections, and you keep on having the same experiences. So tell us a little more about that.
So this is something that has been observed by one of the great sages of the past called Lao Tzu. And once you go beyond the senses, you can observe the reality for what it truly is. And he said the following, that you need to be very cautious of your thoughts, because your thoughts become your words. Then your words became your actions. Your actions define your character, which in the end creates your destiny. If we would explain it to the person living in this day and age, we would say that the human has approximately 60 or 70 thoughts per day, and that is not the problem. The problem is that most of those thoughts are reoccurring. If you could be very aware of your thoughts. It would become like this mindset of different beliefs and habits. And since you invest that electrical energy of your brain into those thoughts, sooner or later, they will become experiences that you have.
Okay.
And sooner or later, those experiences craft your reality, the environment that you live in, which is the result of your previous thoughts or emotions. But what you also need to be aware of that you have created this not alone. Basically, all the beliefs, experiences of our ancestors are programmed into our genes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's called differently. You can call it original sin, you can call it karma, you can call it epigenetics.
Mm-hmm.
It different words, but the essence is the same.
Right.
So it
Mhm.
all starts with being aware.
Right. And on your website, you say that a magnificent revelation awaits one
Mm,
working to unlock the mysteries of the subconscious. You mentioned that you can also unlock parallel financial success. Can you
mm.
explain that?
What we see and what surrounds us is reflection of what we have inside. So it makes sense that if we have consciously or not consciously created what surrounds us, we can also consciously change it from within. And all journeys actually starts from within. To create something that lasts, you need to change yourself within. You need to let go what's holding you back in order
Mm-hmm.
to create greatness. You cannot be great if you're constantly battling yourself, if you're worthy or if you're able to do that. So you might have this dream that you're millionaire, that you have fancy cars and you sail the boat all day long. But if you don't believe in that, then again, this all energy that you created will dissolve because those vectors would just crash and bounce off. So the first and most important thing is to cleanse of any beliefs or negative emotions that are within you that could impact this vision you have, this dream that you want to manifest. It kind of means that if you want beautiful flowers in the garden, first of all, you need to weed the weeds. So they have space and nutritions to grow into beautiful flowers, beautiful trees that will once give you the fruits that you are so looking for.
But Andy, isn't that easier said than done?
All journeys start with the first step.
Mm-hmm.
And this is very similar to saying you can think about life or you can live. And the difference is if you could imagine a dancer that is having her first show, if she's gonna believe in herself and just start dancing, everyone would admire her. But if she would start overthinking and guessing and thinking if she's worthy, she would stop dancing. She would be in her mind, and eventually no one would be inspired. So she can either dance or think about dancing. The
Mm-hmm.
same thing is with life. You can think about life or you can live, but you cannot do both.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow. So, Andy, you've studied a lot of different types of spirituality and under a lot of different masters and experts. Is there a common thread that controls our thought about controlling our thoughts in all the various spiritual studies you've undertaken? Is there a common thread or not?
There are several, but the most important thing that acts as a glue and amplifier of all the modalities that are used is simply faith.
Mhm.
If you believe in the process, if you believe
Mm-hmm.
in the modality, the God, the universe, yourself, however you want to call it, then if the faith is big enough, the modality is not even important. It's not even needed because if
Okay.
you faith is so big, then the God would respond with giving you what you need in order to achieve that. It would be that everything would be in alignment for you, so you can get and experience what your soul yearns to do.
Okay.
So, Andy, why do we tend to sabotage our own progress?
Because we don't believe in ourselves. We have this tendency to fight with ourselves. There's this friction between who we are and who we want to be. And this conflict creates this huge energy loss. In a way, we all have a soul mission and think we want to do. And if we just allow to let go and embrace who we are instead of who we want to be, this internal conflict would just drop and we would be living instead of thinking about living. And the magic of the universe is that it actually rewards those that go according with the plan. So kind of by allowing to become a puppet of the universe, you also become a puppeteer of your own destiny.
Fascinating.
So here's one that it really intrigues me. I've done marathon running and ultra marathon running and a few other fairly dangerous endurance sports. But then I read that you submitted to undertake an 11-day winter fasting challenge, and you also did a mountain conquest in winter just wearing a pair of shorts. So what motivated you to do that, and what was that experience like?
I started this journey because I experienced things differently. I sensed more, I felt more. And since no one around me saw the things the way I saw, I came to the only possible explanation that I'm crazy. So I started this journey to find something that would make me whole again, to explain what's wrong with me. And since there was nothing wrong with me because everything is perfect between heaven and earth, I was doomed to having no results. It's kind of like all flowers bloom in due time, but if you force a flower to bloom, it might stop being a flower.
Right.
So I was doing many of different extreme things just to maybe not even prove to myself, but to find myself. And I was always there. So it was kind of like I would be chasing my own tail if I would be a dog. And I started this fast because I wanted to be more, I wanted to use a shortcut in this growth of the spirit. And again, by using a shortcut, since this is word based on duality, I got so lost that it got very hard to find. If you are in embracing dualities, extremes, it is similar if you would be sailing through a river in a boat, and extremes, the dualities are the shallow rocks on each side. If you are tangled with them, eventually you would be hitting rocks from one side to another. It's gonna become a nightmare to the point that you won't even want to experience this journey and you won't want it to end. But if you're gonna smooth sail through the middle, wow, there's gonna be so many amazing things you could see because you would conserve energy to do so. But if you're gonna hit rocks from rocks, eventually you won't have any energy whatsoever.
Right.
So my journey was basically, I made all mistakes possible.
My goodness. Wow. Tell us about your 6-month guided mentorship program.
Thank you. At this stage, I have two offers. For one is for highly sensitive people, just like me, because we struggle with different challenges, simply because we feel so much that it's many times overwhelming. And it happens because at one stage of our life, we had to become super cautious of our environment. Maybe it is due to trauma or anxiety in childhood. We tend to daydream a lot. That makes us ungrounded. So when we interact with other people, we are easily overwhelmed by their emotions, to the point that we freeze, we stop breathing, and we would do anything to end that interaction. So we sponge negative emotion. And then that starts this vicious cycle of decreasing your respect to yourself, because in your head you wanted to say something else, do something else. And yet, when the situation repeats, you do actually the same. You freeze, you stop breathing, and you don't know what to do. So this has been something I have been struggling with a lot. So I invested so much time and energy to find ways how I could overcome that. And eventually I made this method that makes you immune to negative emotions, negative suggestions, frequencies, or energies, which allows you to go through your life not only surviving but thriving. And as many times, the reason why this is happening is a pent-up energy of anger or fear. It is also essential to let go of that, because you don't want that energy in your liver, because this volcano sooner or later will erupt, leaving nothing inside you, and most likely you will erupt in front of your loved ones, so you will also hurt them. So this is as a precaution step to ensure that you are on your journey and you won't get lost anytime soon. And since we live in day and age where everyone is struggling with their health, I have a program that is designed to open energy pathways of the body and transmute negative emotions to positive from internal organs, because internal organs, it started approximately 8,000 years ago, when Taoists have been observing reality going beyond the senses. They observed that internal organs relate to emotions, and each each internal organ has different set of emotion. Like liver has anger, lungs have bravery and sadness and depression. So you need to take that sadness and depression and transmute that into bravery. And it's kind of amazing, because once you let go of those negative emotions and transmute them into positive emotions, you also let go of many bad habits, many bad beliefs. They just dissolve because they cannot exist with that positive energy. So it's a very holistic approach, and it's very effective, and I'm super proud of it.
Wow.
Very good. Wow, it sounds good. So, Andy, a lot of people are that Kathleen and I come across in our daily lives and on the show, and people who write to us are very concerned about their future. If you look at what's happening in the world, the war in Ukraine, the Middle East, inflation, American elections, and. Now, we're not like that. We're both very positive, but a lot of people are very worried about their future. They maybe lost their jobs, never recovered, their business never recovered from the lockdown, whatever. So what's one thing you would suggest to those people who are concerned about the future that they could start doing today or tomorrow, that just one little thing that would make their life a little bit more positive and maybe give them a better outlook on life? Is there one thing?
There cannot be one thing, because one thing will relate to one person, and there are countless persons in the world. This seems like worry and anxiety, and those are emotions of the spleen that can be transmuted into fairness and openness. And
Okay.
that is something that is possible. But the thing is, we are so bombarded with content from every direction, to the point that we consciously cannot process that. And many times we have dreams that our subconsciousness despair try to show us what we should do. And the thing is, everything is perfect. It's all come from this notion that you're trying to be someone else. And there's this conflict between you and yourself. So by realizing that God doesn't make mistake and you are a beautiful soul experiencing fantastic things, this conflict will drop and this anxiety will drop, and you can just be yourself to the fullest and embrace what life has in store for you with gratitude and joy instead of anxiety and worriness.
Hmm.
My goodness, lots to
Very
learn
good.
from you there, Andy. Really, it's truly amazing, and it's such a pleasure to have had you on the show today. But how do people contact you?
Thank you. If someone would, if someone, if what I'm saying resonate with someone, you can find me using this QR code, which is in my background.
Mhm.
And if you're only using audio, you can find me on my page, which is simply sageandy.com. And we could schedule a meeting there. Or you could also send me a DM using Facebook, which is Empath Catalyst. And we could do fantastic work together.
Very good. Well, thank you. From my side, thank you very much, Andy. That's very interesting. Lots to think about there, and I appreciate the message you've given our audience. Back to Kathleen.
A sage you absolutely are. I just get that from you, that sense from you that you are so wise beyond your years, Andy. And I would have loved to have had more of a conversation with you. And hopefully you can come back and join us again for a future episode. We'd love to have you. But until then, thank you all so very much for tuning in to our show once again. If anyone is interested in being a guest on our show, we invite you to visit us at theyakkingshow.com. All you need to do is click on the contacts tab where you will find a short application form, and we'd love to hear from you. So until next time, take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.